Thank you very much, Peter Wilson, from this interview. How are you, my friend?
I am good. I'm very good. I'm getting used to this time difference between us. It's 13 hours, so it's 10 p.m. here. So this old man is getting very tired.
And tell us about your beginnings into the professional world.
So I started doing singing competitions and that whole circuit with my singing students in the same, going around doing competitions. I didn't get very far, but it was a lot of fun. Made a couple of grand finals, which is cool. I was also shopping at an import store which would stock all of the stock Aiken Waterman and Italo Disco music from Europe, England, and they knew that I liked singing. And one of the guys said to me, "I've got a guy in mind who might want to write some demos for you. Here's his name, here's his number." And I had previously recorded a demo with somebody else from a radio show that I used to listen to, and that song didn't get released. So I saw this as my opportunity to do something. So I contacted this guy. He said, "Yeah, great, let's do something." We had the same taste of music. Before I knew it, we were in the studio recording a song that I'd written actually, and then we recorded a whole bunch of demos. One of them was called "I Want to Dance," and then about a couple of years later, a radio station in Melbourne picked up the track, and it was unsigned. But they picked up the track, and then all of a sudden it appeared in the top 30 on this radio station. And then it was number 7, it was number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1. And then a record label picked up the track, and they heard it, they licensed it, and I had my first single out, and that's how it happened.
And how did you feel in that moment?
It was great. It was really great. I remember going to this radio station with one of the tracks with "I Want to Dance." It was not signed, and I was hoping for my big break, I guess. And so when it did really well, and I was signed, it felt incredible. And I was happy that the track came out 2 days before my 21st birthday. So I was really happy. Yeah, and then that did really well. And a few months later, we did a video for a new song. That sort of went all over the TV stations in Australia. I started doing... I was appearing topless in the teenage magazines, and I was all over. So I was making mainstream radio, mainstream TV magazines. It was a lot of fun. I was recognised by some... I remember I was walking down the street on a Saturday morning with a friend, and I think we were coming home from a nightclub. So I was 21, you've got to understand. So we were pretty much hadn't slept yet, and these teenage girls had recognised me, and that was interesting. But yeah, it was so much fun. It made me feel great.
Yeah. Why did you decide to do Eurodance style? It was very popular in Australia, that kind of style of music.
It wasn't popular, but I never liked what was popular, really. I didn't like the music that I heard on the radio, so I found my niche, my alternative. So I found a radio show that would play the imports, the Italo Disco, all of that kind of thing that you'd never hear here. So I became interested in doing music that sounded like the 80s. Although in the 90s it wasn't really doing so well, so I kind of had to, I guess, progress a little bit, and I loved the sound of Italo dance. So Savage, who I mentioned before privately, he was Robix, and he was doing Alexia and all those other things, Ice MC. So I loved those sounds. So I wanted to bring some of that into the music I was doing in the 90s, and I think it worked.
Yeah, totally. Then you decide to change, I don't know, focus on write songs, because you wrote songs from many artists like Amanda Lear, Samantha Fox, Sabrina, Carol Gianni, I don't know, a lot of artists. That was in the ending of the 90s, right?
Yeah, so the 90s pop thing didn't take off the way that I wanted it to. So I retired, I went and got a day job, and then I still had the passion to write and record, and I was going to come back into the singing business as a solo artist, but that didn't work out at that time. So I started writing for other people, and you mentioned Carol Gianni. Yes, I wrote for her. Amanda Lear, which was incredible. She's one of my favorite singers ever. So I had this crazy idea to write music that was dance music with the European flavor, like her old music. And we contacted her label, and after very persistent efforts from myself and a label that I was working with, she said yes. So we worked on a whole bunch of songs. They did really well in Europe. And yeah, so that Amanda Lee is such a pride and joy to have worked with. And Carol, Samantha Fox and Sabrina, I didn't write for them. They didn't end up recording songs that I'd written, but we produced a version of Call Me, which was on the CD single. And then also there was Nikki French, who I worked with, who is signed to my record label, Energized Records, and she's a sweetheart. She's great. So yeah, I really enjoyed the writing for other people. That was great. And then soon after that, I got back into my recording as a solo artist again, and I guess it came full circle.
Yeah, but if you have to choose, do you like more write songs for artists or perform yourself? Or both?
I guess I prefer singing for myself now, and I really enjoyed writing to other people and being in the background, and I enjoyed that at the time. But as those opportunities finished, I guess I just fell back into the singing, and I love doing that.
Sirs, I want to know about the story of that big curiosity in which Dieter's name appears, that we talked about few weeks ago. You know, that it's very interesting.
Yeah, so Dieter Bohlen, yeah?
Yeah, Dieter Bohlen.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of him. I know you're the biggest fan ever that I've ever met of him, and I love that. So what happened was 1999, I was signed to a very small label in Australia, and we only released one single with them. And I dedicated, on the back of the single, I dedicated the single to Stock Aitken Waterman and Dieter Bohlen. The song sounded nothing like Dieter Bohlen, but I put it there anyway. And then I said to them, I think I remember saying to them, send the CD over to them, let them know who I am at BMG in Germany. Maybe I can work with him. It was like a huge dream, but anyway. So I heard nothing more about that. And then not long after I left the label, they sent me an envelope full of the contract and just documents, whatever. And because I'd left the label, I didn't really want to read the documents. So I put them in my storage for many, many years. And then a few months ago, I was I was cleaning through everything, and I thought, okay, it's time to throw all this stuff out. I opened the envelope just to, I guess, reminisce about the contract or whatever. And I opened it and saw this fax. This fax was from BMG in Germany, and it was addressed to somebody at the label. And the subject was Peter Wilson and Dieter Bohlen. And I read it, and it says, can we please have some samples of Peter Wilson's music to send to BMG and to Dieter Bohlen? And I'm like, this is the kind of break or the kind of opportunity that I wanted, but I never knew about this opportunity, never knew about it. They must have received the fax and never let me know and just filed it away with everything else. And I can't believe that I didn't know about it, because if I did, I would have been on a plane. I would have found my way to Germany and said, here, this is me. Let me record for you. I would have done an album with Dieter Bohlen. I would have absolutely have taken the opportunity. And it's like, oh, I missed that. I missed it. But it happens.
Yeah.
And I've actually sent him. I've got him on Instagram, and I've sent him a copy of the fax saying, "Hey, remember me?" He probably won't even read it. He's got millions of followers, but I thought it was funny. But yeah, it was when I read the fax, I was really broken for about a day or two, but you know, whatever, you can't dwell on it. But you know, it was nice to know that the label was interested in me. I'll say that. It's crazy. I not only had interest from a major label in Europe, but I had Dieter Bohlen's name was there, who was like one of my musical heroes. So that was very cool.
Yeah. So now that we are talking about Dieter Bohlen, what is your which album do you like most from Modern Talking and from Blue System?
Okay, so Blue System, I've got to say there's two. So there's got to be Walking on a Rainbow and Deja Vu. I like them both equally. I love them. I listen to those albums and they make me so happy. And from Modern Talking, I want to say, look, I love the first album, but I really love the fourth album, Princess of the Night. That song is one of my favorites, you know, Give Me Peace on Earth. So yeah, I would say the fourth album.
Oh, great. And the maxi single of Modern Talking?
It's always got to be the original 12-inch version of You're My Heart, You're My Soul, I think. That's really good.
Yeah, there's a big difference between the 80s and the 90s on Modern Talking sound. I don't really like Brother Louie new version from '98. I prefer the original from the 80s.
Yeah, I think you should leave the original as it is. I think the last great Blue System album for me was Deja Vu, because it has the essence of the 80s. And it's, I think after Hello America, it sort of started to change and move towards 90s Eurodance. And I like it, but it doesn't sound like the old stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. Then we are going to Italo Disco world, because you work with Fred Ventura and Italo Connection. Tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and actually, this is one of my favorite albums ever. East and West. Yeah. So after it was around 2013, 2014, I was becoming really bored with the music I was doing. I love my music, but I was not feeling challenged and I wanted to try something new. So long-time fan of Fred, and we were on Facebook together. So I said to my label, if I get Fred Ventura to say yes to working with me, will you fund it? And they said, well, yes, we will. So I contacted Fred, just like I contact anyone that I want to work with. It's always worth giving it a chance. And Fred said, hey, yep, I'd love to do it. Let's do it. We'll work on some stuff. So the first track was Hold You Tight that we did. We started that song as a demo before I took it to Italo Connection, and it was written for somebody else. That didn't work out. So I thought, this is a great song to use. And they turned it into what it is now. And it's one of my favorite tracks ever. And then the second track that I did with them was a cover version of a Sabrina song, Shadows of the Night, which Giorgio Moroder had produced and written. I always loved it. And I said, hey, would you do this? They weren't sure at first because they thought it might be a little, I don't know, too pop, but they did such a great job, and they love that they love that one now. And because those tracks worked so well, and I met Fred in Melbourne when he came and did a tour here, we got along so well, and it just made a great relationship. So we've been working together now for 7 years, I think it is, and it's I love it. Every time I get a track, a mix back from them, I'm so excited. Both Fred and Paulo are so talented, and they're good guys as well. They're great.
Yeah. Well, your career is amazing because you have contact with Amanda Lear, I don't know, a lot of artists, Italo Disco artists like Ken Laszlo, Fred Ventura, Linda Chorrizzo, Fancy. It's amazing. You are like in the heaven.
I am in heaven. I mean, look, for me, when I started doing music again, I made the decision that I only want to make music that I love, and that's Italo Disco and the stock Aiken Waterman sound. But the people that you mentioned, I've just happened to meet them over time by association. A few years ago, Fancy came and did a tour here, So I knew the tour organizers, so I was able to go there and have dinner with him and Linda Jo Rizzo. She's a lovely lady also. She was so friendly and so welcoming. And Ken Leslow I met when he came and did the tour here. And then when I was in Sweden, I was there performing with him also. He's lovely. So yeah, I get to meet these people luckily as part of what I do. So it's something I never dreamt of doing, but it's great.
What about Luis Rodriguez and Team 33? Because you work with them too.
Yeah, so they're another production company that I've always loved. Luis Rodriguez, his sound is unique. You know, he created that sound. Largely, he created that sound. So he's another person that I just contacted, thinking I've got nothing to lose. And Leanne Ross actually helped me put the foot in that door. I was speaking to her on Facebook and I told her how much I wanted to work with Luis, and she might have mentioned to him that I was going to contact them, and then from that point we were able to start negotiating to work together. So I've got her to thank for that, which is really, really special. Yeah, I've done 2 tracks with them. One was Another One to Love, and the other one is I Cry For You, which is my next single, out next month. And yeah, I remember getting the 2 tracks back, and for the first time I heard my voice with the Luis Rodriguez production. He makes it sound like no other producer, and it was like, oh wow, I've been produced by him. It's an unmistakable Luis Rodriguez production. It's a dream come true, and I still ask myself, how did that happen? It's crazy. And actually, I'll Cry For You, which is the next single. Well, Mode One wrote the song. I am a big fan. I love his song Man on the Moon, and I asked him to write a song for me. And so we made that part of the deal to work with Team 33. And he sent me the demo. I helped with some of the lyrics, and then he put that together with Luis and Philip Iscaño. And it's a great song. I love that song, and what I love about it is the high choruses as well. It sounds like the classic sound. So it's such a great track.
Yeah. I have a game. It's a game that I did with Linda Chorizo.
Okay.
I'm going to say some names, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay?
Okay. I like this.
The first name I'm going to say is Fancy.
Living legend, amazing.
Great. Linda Chorizo.
Beautiful person, great music, also amazing.
Dieter Bohlen.
The pop titan, the crazy man. He's crazy, but he's great.
Luis Rodriguez.
The creator of that classic sound, a hero for me.
Yeah, great. Fred Ventura.
I love Fred. He's crazy cool. He's talented. He's all, and I have no words. He's just brilliant.
And he's tall.
He's tall. He's taller than me, but I'm not very tall, so that's not hard.
Sabrina Salerno.
Oh boy. Sabrina's great. She looks incredible these days. She looks so good. I'm obsessed with how great she looks.
Great. And the last one, Samantha Fox.
Samantha Fox.
Yeah. This one was the last one. Was the biggest one.
Samantha Fox. Yeah, I like some of her music.
No more words. Now, I want to know
Well, I've got to say, before you continue, I've got to tell everybody, this entire interview was not rehearsed. You didn't send me any questions. I didn't want to do it that way. I just wanted to have a proper conversation. And it's good. It's really good. And I think that I'm blushing sometimes because I don't know what to say, but I like it this way.
Yes, I like it. I like it. Tell us about your projects for the future.
So I Cry For You will be the next single, 31st of July. So that's, and the extended version is classic Team 33, that sound. It's great. The extended version's great. So I can't wait for people to hear that. Then there'll be one more single from the current album, Electricity. And I know what the song's going to be, but I'm not going to tell anybody yet because I want it to be a surprise. And then next year, there will be a release. It's going to be an EP. So it's almost a full album. And I guess if we were in the 80s, it would be considered a full album because it's going to be 7 or 8 tracks of new songs. And then it's going to be 4 or 5 songs we've got extended versions from the current album, which were, I guess, in the running to be singles, but weren't going to be singles. So it's going to be a good compilation, I hope. I've worked with, there's a guy called Larry Forsberg from Sweden. He's got a group called Eurotics, and they're kind of a cross between that Swedish pop and Italo pop. And we've worked on 5 songs together. And then there's 3 songs with Pete Hammond. 2 of those have been co-written and produced, or written and co-produced by an American guy called Jeff Vincent. He wrote some of the tracks on the Polar Carcass album from 1990. So they're great pop tracks, and it's every track that I've done for this little EP. It's very, very strong melodies, classic melodies, and I can't wait to get it out.
Yeah.
So that's my plan for next year. And then I don't think I'm going to do any recording after that next year. I'm going to take a bit of a break. And then if I can, and if this world is in a better place, I'm on the first plane to Europe. I can't wait to get there. I'm going to meet you. You're going to take me record shopping. And I can't wait. I really can't wait.
We can go together and buy some records.
I think you'll spend a lot more than me. I know I've seen the things that you buy, and I don't think I'll buy as many as you. And you don't have as far to take it back home, so I've got to travel all the way back to Australia. So, yeah.
Oh my God, it was very funny. Thank you very much, Peter, for this opportunity. I love it. I love all the things that we talk, the game that we did, and you are so funny, adorable person. So nice, so nice.
Yes, and I've loved having our conversations about music, and I'm sure we're going to continue talking about that off camera and more. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, nice night, because we have a lot of difference.
I'm going to bed soon, so thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, stay healthy and good luck, everybody. Yeah?